Today was a big day for a return to normalcy in the tri-state with the announcement of Oktoberfest Zinzinnati coming back. And we also found out the city will host a World Cup qualifier match at TQL Stadium.
Yeah, both of those huge events, they should bring in big crowds, but the announcements come, of course, as the tri-state sees a rise in COVID cases. Local 12's Christian Hauser joins us live now from the banks to talk about the safety precautions that you and your family should take before heading to any of these events. Hi, Christian.
Hey Adam, speaking of returning to normalcy, or well, I guess new normalcy, behind me they just opened the gates here at the Icon Music Center for the Foo Fighters concert tonight. Everybody here happy to start moving and hopefully get in out of this sunshine. Now with the CDC changing its guidance for folks indoors in those areas that have high spread of the virus, a lot of people are worried that places like this might need to have mask mandates put in place to slow that spread down. Now the latest numbers show that about half the tri-state, including all but one county in northern Kentucky, are in kind of that elevated spread the CDC is talking about. But from what I'm told, even if it continues to get worse, no one has any local power to mandate masks or other health orders ahead of these large events. Here's a look at the tri-state and its cases based on the latest CDC numbers. Red and orange counties are areas where the CDC wants people to wear a mask indoors. You can see all the local counties that applies to. Hamilton County Health Commissioner Greg Kesterman says the biggest tool in the fight against COVID-19 is the vaccine. But he says wearing a mask is extremely effective at preventing the spread of the virus. Oktoberfest typically brings hundreds of thousands of people into the city, and this year will likely be no different. But a large portion of those are likely not vaccinated. With the number of cases rising in the area, do you feel comfortable going to these outdoor events, or should people be wearing masks when they head there?
We know that outdoor activities tend to be safer. COVID spreads less in an outdoor environment. So just make sure you're practicing some common sense. If you see somebody coughing, avoid that individual. Practice hand hygiene. Do all the things that we've been talking about for the last year and a half.
Even if it gets worse, we're not likely to see any new mask mandates. Masking has become such a political football. Do you think that despite science showing that it's the best way to prevent spread besides vaccines, do you think that this means that no one will be willing to put a mask mandate in place if things continue to get worse?
So at this point, we're going to see moving forward, masking be an individual choice. We know that masking works. We have scientific data to prove that it works, just like we have scientific data to prove that vaccines work. So it's really an individual choice.
Kesterman knows a lot of people are hesitant to get the vaccine, but he also knows a lot of them are not getting their information from science-based sources.
Please don't turn on social media because we know there is a ton of misinformation there.
Now the good news, all these events announced are outdoors, so that means that they're less likely to spread the virus. But like Kesterman says, you should be making sure to wash your hands often, or at least using hand sanitizer, and keep an eye out for anyone coughing or sneezing. Live at the banks, Christian Hauser, Local 12 News.
Yeah, a lot of stuff they've been telling us from the beginning. All right, Christian, thank you. We're hearing from the Reds that there are no plans to require masks at games, and the team will continue to follow local and state guidelines.
Parts of a 34-mile urban bike trail are under construction in several Cincinnati neighborhoods. A local organization helping to fund it is nearing a major goal. Local 12's Alexa Helwig shows us why breweries are involved too.
The vision is to connect dozens of communities to destinations around the city.
What this project is going to do is create that sizzle that Cincinnati needs to stand out.
The Crown, or Cincinnati Riding or Walking Network, is working hard to piece it all together. Director of Tri-State Trails Wade Johnston says the 34-mile urban loop will weave major trails and developments.
The Little Miami Scenic Trail, the Wassam Way Trail, the Ohio River Trail, and the Mill Creek Greenway.
The Beachmont Bridge Connector is one example of a major project currently under construction. It'll safely link the Little Miami Scenic Trail to the Ohio River Trail.
Every little piece that gets built is a success. You know, it's a pretty long-term project. It's built, a mile at a time. 17
of the 34 miles are finished. The Crown gets federal funding, but is responsible to raise some of its own money.
We're raising $8 million, and that's going to leverage, altogether, it's going to be a pot of $50 million.
It recently hit a major milestone by securing 6 of the $8 million. When the loop is finished, several breweries will be along its path. Founder of Big Ash Brewing, Dave Emery, says it'll be built on the edge of his parking lot.
Well, the whole craft brewery scene is all about community and collaboration and activity. people getting out and doing things.
A project, Ales for Trails, launched this month to benefit the Crown.
It's essentially a passport program where you go and visit each of the 7 breweries during the month of July, and you get a hop card is what we call it, which is our passport document.
A couple hundred took part, sparking the beginning of a future for businesses along the path.
So being plugged into that is just fantastic.
Alexa Helwig, Local 12 News.
Now, the Crown hopes to have 24 of the 34 miles completed within the next 5 years. Good evening, I'm Megan Mongello.
And I'm Adam Clements. A local fire department says its hydrants are not properly maintained, and that's putting residents and firefighters in real danger.
David Winter joins us now in Madison Township, where the issue became quite apparent over the weekend. David, what happened out there?
Well, Megan, there was a fire at this home at about 1 o'clock on Sunday morning. When the firefighters arrived, the smoke and the flames were just the start of their problems. When the Madison Township firefighters arrived at the fire on Mosselman Road early Sunday morning, it was fully involved. Luckily, there was a hydrant right across the street.
The pump operator and a couple other people were trying to get the caps off. With the hydrant wrench trying to get the caps off, they had to pound it because it was so tight.
Deputy Chief Runnels was on the scene. He says they finally got the cap off, but the hydrant was so corroded, the arrow that shows the way to turn the spigot was not discernible.
You could read it, and it helps you out with the arrows of open. And
where are the arrows on this one?
They're not there. It's all rusted out.
While they were trying to figure out the one hydrant, they went to another down the street.
When they went to turn it on, this whole thing was broke out, and one of my firefighters was standing here, and it come out at him, and the water shooting out this way.
This is a picture of what happened. The hydrant was useless. Fire Chief Kent Hall says about half the time they go to a fire, they need a sledgehammer to get the cap off.
They're not properly maintenance, these hydrants. They're not checking them. They should check them once a year.
We asked the Deputy General Manager of the Southwest Regional Water District how often they maintain their hydrants.
We try to get on those at least a minimum of, for inspection purposes, at least a minimum of once every 5 years.
So each hydrant gets checked once every 5 years?
Yes.
Do you feel that's adequate?
At this point, I do, yes.
The National Fire Protection Association says hydrants should be flushed annually to verify operation, address repairs, and verify reliability.
Is there a problem with your township's hydrants?
Not that I'm aware of.
Just as a resident of the township, are you comfortable with the fire hydrant that's near your home?
No.
Do you have any idea whether it works?
No, sure don't.
The Southwest Regional Fire District, or Water District rather, says that it is maintaining 600 hydrants just in this township alone. We've requested, going back 5 years, the maintenance records for every single one of those, and we'll let you know what we find. Megan?
Interesting investigation. Thank you, David. The house was a total loss, and the fire chief says they likely still would have lost the home even without those hydrant issues.
Well, a local business owner is taking a fresh approach to inspire future generations. Local 12's Courtney Wheaton tells us about a brand new internship created at a local barbershop.
At Gallery at Gumbo, the motto is more than a barbershop. The staff building community one cut and conversation at a time. This summer, through the shop's pilot internship, the Broom Academy, Braxton and Jordan are learning what it means to work hard, get a paycheck, and put in a little elbow grease.
Not only have them help around the shop, but bring a youthful presence to the shop as well as learn some of the business etiquette revolved around running a small business.
The young men learn how to network, conduct business, and communicate with whoever sits down for a cut, from politicians and athletes to community leaders.
I want to be a filmmaker when I grow up, so I think getting a sense of real conversations with people on a day-to-day basis is really good for me if I want to tackle issues like that.
The teens also take turns curating the art gallery in the rear of the shop.
Statues of power in our community, but also being a person at the end of the day also.
Each task completed builds confidence.
I want to become the President of the United States of America, and also I want to start my own company and this kind of like allows me to learn some of the ins and outs of starting your own business.
As teens are losing their lives on the streets in Cincinnati, Jordan's mother says the shop is a safe place where positivity always prevails.
What it means to like see people working and actually be a person who is working, also giving him new ways to look at what is possible.
We want them to be here instead of out there, and at the same time be out there with them.
The owner tells me this is a pilot program, and in the future he hopes to work with Cincinnati Public Schools, and there will be a heavy selection process to decide which students would benefit from this type of program. In Over the Rhine, Courtney Wheaton, Local 12 News.